So welcome to the DCX podcast, where I interview leaders in the customer experience space about how digital is changing the landscape and how you can leverage these changes for success in your business. Today, I'm super excited to be talking with Rafal Ohme, Victor Szczerba, co-founders of Response Time Analytics, and Mike Kennedy, a strategy and business advisor to the team. RTA has developed a neuroscience and AI application of response time analytics and filter responses. It's a lot of words there. We're going to go dig deep into what that means. It's been used for ultra high-end surveys by consultancy companies to measure emotions. And this allows them to unlock emotions from digital feedback to detect more accurate feedback, which I think is something we're all looking for. So welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thank you.
Hey there,
Mark. Hello.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
Thank you. And Rafal, you're coming to us from is it Warsaw?
Yeah, this is Warsaw, Poland. Far away, and Friday afternoon is just starting. So I'm getting into a Friday afternoon mode.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us. I start with, let's talk about response time analytics. What is it and why does it matter?
Yeah, well, this is all about me meeting Victor, because I'm the guy who sits in books, reads books, done tons of research, and I witness cutting edge scientific discoveries that can change the world as long as anyone from the business side will learn about it. And when I was showing Victor what I'm doing in the course of my academic work, he said, man, we need to bring it to the table because we're gonna make a big change in what we call customer experience. Because what I'm referring to is something that is called accessibility theory, but to put it in different words, we measure how much people hesitate. And by measuring this little thing that each of us experience on a daily basis, hesitation, we can discover sometimes minor and sometimes major insights that are previously invisible. So together with Victor, we created a company, and then we found a magnificent Mike that is here today with us, and we try to make some noise a little bit. This is what we do.
That's great, thank you. So Victor, what was your response when you started to hear about this and how you saw it was an opportunity to expand into customer experience?
So I was aware of Rafal's research on the periphery, right? And I also was aware that it kind of was always in the realm of really high-end, surveys and, that kind of a realm, where a high-end survey company or a high-end consulting company got brought in to, ask the really, really tough questions. And they would use the neuron technology to kind of figure out what was going on, right? And I go, in the world of digital transactions everywhere, that was really accelerated through the world of COVID, I just felt that it was a great opportunity to democratize this kind of technology and create it so that it could be embedded everywhere, right? So not just measure and analyze and reanalyze and hyperanalyze, 7 answers from, really high-end projects, but analyze this everywhere. And that the concept of response time analytics was democratizing this wonderful technology that Rafal has commercialized.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example. During COVID, it was really a breakthrough for our research. For instance, we've been testing 48 countries how citizens perceive COVID and threats. And for instance, we ask a simple question: are you going to wash your hands for 20 seconds? In the United States, in Europe, it was 30 seconds. And we got extremely optimistic results. Over 80% of all the countries said yes, we do. We're gonna wash our hands. However, when we check people in the United States, 61% of them were really certain about it. We figure it out by measuring the hesitation that is expressed in milliseconds when you hesitate by giving the positive or negative answer. So this was, so the number was maybe not 80%, but rather 61%. In the United Kingdom, it was 58%, but in Italy, it was 18%. So 80% of Italians declared they will wash their hands, whereas there was only 18% who said it without hesitation. And cognitive psychology and social psychology says that when you hesitate, the likelihood that you really walk the talk, that you will exercise your words into actions dramatically drops when you hesitate. So with this knowledge, we have completely new insights, because without this technology in Italy, the health of the government, the health officials, health authorities would consider their educational campaign, Wash Your Hands, as most successful, because 80% of Italians says, yes, sure, we're gonna do it. Whereas, and similarly in the United States. But we said, hey, in the United States, everything is fine. You're doing a great job. But in Italy, you need to change the narrative because people are convinced on a rational level, which is this cognitive attitude platform. However, the emotional attitude and behavioral attitude are neglected because people hesitate. They are not really passionate about it. So you need to change the narrative. In Italy, we were not very successful, but in Portugal, we were. And then there were even newspapers saying, hey, they benefited a lot from this technology.
So when you say successful, you mean that the feedback that you gave saying, hey, the hesitation is showing us that you've got a bigger issue here than you think.
Yes, and then the health authorities, like in Portugal, they had additional insights to change or modify their narrative, the original narrative. Or we tested their willingness to get vaccination 6 months prior to before the vaccination was invented, and we knew that in many countries, including Poland, unfortunately, there would be a huge rejection of the vaccination, and plenty of funny theories who's behind the vaccination, in spite of what people declared.
Yeah, and I love this example. This is the one I use the most with customers. We were able to predict what was the actual vaccine hesitation rate almost a year in advance. Not what was the declared vaccination rate, but what was the actual one, was based on our models, right? It was amazing.
Yeah.
Within 1%.
And this all is based on a very fundamental psychological phenomenon that is called accessibility theory. The more time your brain needs to produce an answer, the weaker attitude is, because it has less neural connections or engrams as a memory units.
Okay.
The attitude is less elaborated. Therefore, you need more time to give the answer. And that means that the attitude is not closely related to eventual behavior. So, and we experience this on daily situation. There's this famous episode in France where Rachel and Ross are educating what's his name, Chandler,
Yep.
how to answer question to his girlfriend Janice. She said, "Do I look nice?" And he looked at it, and then she said yes, and there was a big issue then. And Monica said, "Hey man, you give automatically yes, you look beautiful." See, so whenever you ask, "Honey, was the soup good at all?" And if she says yes, you know that there's something behind.
Yes.
You always need to come up with immediate yes. So we measure this immediate yes with millisecond precision. And by the way, of course, it was not me who invented this. These were wonderful scholars, Tony Greenwald and Mazorin Banerjee. From right now, this test sits on Harvard University webpage. It's called implicit association test. It was created in mid-90s to measure racial prejudice. They measure how much you hesitate by giving an answer to intimate question or the questions that immediately trigger political correctness. For instance, because initially it was created to measure racial prejudice. Do you think Afro-Americans are smart? The answer is yes. But how much you hesitate, that made a difference. And there was this huge article by Mazorin Banerjee, 8 millisecond difference.
Yeah.
It's 8 milliseconds that is good enough to tell that there is some problem going on. And I was lucky enough because I was a Fulbright scholar and I was a guinea pig at their lab testing this implicit association test. And I was a special condition because I was not native speaker. So they wanted to see whether I can process, whether I can think in English as quickly as in my native tongue. And because of me and a couple of other guys, now we have 150 language versions of IET because it's turned out that it has to be done in mother's tongue because we see. But this was a fundamental theoretical discovery that I was enjoying as a scholar. I was enjoying because I had plenty of publications, but then we had a little business in Poland, but it was more boutique business. And then Victor came and he said, man, we're gonna make something out of it because this is really a game changer.
Right. So how do we take this to the next step? You guys have worked with brands and uncover what you believe is more accurate preference and brand perception feedback. So do you have an example of that work and how it's moved from theoretical to an academic to, I love these behavioral and human kind of experiences, but at a business level, how has it come to life?
Well, I can give you an example of the recent study we did during this huge conference. One of the big software providers had this conference, and he wanted to see what people were thinking after the conference. Did they like the food? Did they like the venue? Did they like the speakers? Are they going to come back next year? And again, they use our technology, and we always give the declarative results, and then on the top the true results, the real one. And on the declarative level, the conference was a massive success. Almost all the answers regarding the venue, food, speakers, and willingness to return was 80% plus. Yet, the technology showed that food was great indeed, venue was great indeed, but speakers and the amount of knowledge was good but not excellent, and the willingness to return was not 80+%, but 30%. So the good thing is that now we can realize what type of messaging we need to execute after the conference. All of the people are receiving the regular thank you messages and come again, visit us next year. But these 30% of those who are really passionate are offering special deals because they are open to it, they are ready to it. So again, this is and thanks to Victor's software team, we've managed to automatize everything. So it's happening in real time, and it is all unmanned process. So it's totally scalable. We can run our test on hundreds of people or hundreds of thousands of people, and it all takes seconds.
So is it, Victor, is it just some code that gets added to the survey technology, or how does it come to life?
9 lines of code, really. They just have to embed 9 lines of code, and what happens is that takes the person over to our server. We run the same questions using just a little bit more of a measurement kind of a technology. And then when the survey is done, they get the answers that they got before, and they get the insights from response time analytics, right? Right now, this is a little bit asynchronous, right? We're also working with a large brand, kind of early days, so they're still in the, I would say, experimental phase of how to operationalize this. But what they want to do is they are segmenting their customers into, let's say, to do something relatively simple. Here's a high yes customer and a low yes customer and a low no customer and a high no customer, right? And basically they're saying, you know what? The customers that are the high no, super convicted no, let's just leave them alone. There's no amount of money and time that we could spend on these guys to going to really get them to change their mind. So forget it, right? And then the customers that are already fans, right? The super yeses, the high conviction yeses, we're going to give them a different message. We're going to sit there and say, thank you, right? We're friends, right? Here's the kind of amazing things that we could do for you because you're in our inner circle, right? So I'm not going to be a cheesy sales guy to you, whatever that is. I'm going to give you information. I'm going to give you insider. I'm going to do that kind of stuff, right? But the interesting things are, what can you do for the people that are like the low conviction no's, right? They're like, I'm not really quite sure. It turns out that is where you could spend so much of your money and actually get really amazing results, right? Because you could all of a sudden say, hey, you had a bad experience. Why don't we give you another one, right? Here, give us a try. Here you go. Yeah. These people are not lost, right? Yeah. They kind of look like they're lost, but they're not really lost.
Well, and they're hard to find. They're hard to find today, right?
They're hard to find.
Yeah.
And we see them everywhere. We see, we're almost like that you know, that kid in the movie of like, I see dead people, right? I mean, we literally can sit there and say, we know those people.
I see prospects.
Really well.
But think of possible applications in political marketing. It's all about people who are not, who have not made their minds yet. And look at American elections. It's all about swinging states. See, this is the key of everything. And our technology, RTA's technology, is all about swinging states. maybe we need to change our name into more sexy like swingers. We're testing, swinging modes. But this is exactly what we do. And I am really surprised why no one else did it before us. Because we all experience this daily, because people hesitate. And when they hesitate, that means that something's going on.
Yeah. And I think really where the power of the technology really lies is not necessarily just finding this thing out, right? Because we're gonna tell you who these people are. The question is, what are you willing to do with it, right? And in many cases, what we could also do, I mean, usually right now this is done as kind of high-end consulting projects, and it shouldn't be, is, hey, here's an HR department, right? So let's just switch gears into, the EX world for a second, right? But there's a lot of similarities actually in the kinds of surveys between the two worlds, and we actually anticipate that a lot of this stuff will eventually merge, right? And in the employee experience world, there's maybe you have money for one or two initiatives, and you have your employees are sitting there and you're measuring them on their willingness or the amount that they want, 10 or 20 different things that you could do. And you're looking at the rank stack ordering of the things that you could do. So the answers you're going to get are always biased, right? Because employees will always sit there and tell you kind of what you want to hear, right? You have a great boss, that kind of stuff. Whereas if you run this thing through response time analytics, the rank stack order of the things that you could be doing sometimes is drastically different. In fact, the top 5 are rarely the same in the implicit world and the explicit world. So that's actually kind of crazy.
And is this something you work with or want to work with, like the big survey companies like Medallia, Qualtrics, and others, or is this something that companies can stand up something directly with you, or how would that work?
So we understand almost everybody is working with a large survey company like a Medallia or a Qualtrics. So we work with them, right? We're not trying to compete with them at all. We're on top kind of an enhancement to the processes that they have, right? So that's how we want to work, right? The last thing we want is to create yet another survey company. So they have their regular surveys running in their regular platform, and then they just put in these 9 lines of code, and then they run for specific questions. They, go to us, and then it goes right back into the survey.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that I wanted to say is we've been working, now most of this, when we say we've been working with clients, most of these we've been working with actually as consulting projects, which is sad but that's how these things start before they start operationalizing the software, right? But there's a great ability to use our software as an early warning system, right? So for example, if I'm going to use a employee experience example, saying, hey, listen, how committed are you to working for this company for the next year? And the number could actually be in an explicit survey, 90%, 90%, 90%, 90%, 90%. You're doing these surveys once a quarter or once a month or whatever, and it's kind of consistent at 90. And the numbers themselves are actually relatively sticky, it turns out. But then if you run those same surveys through response time analytics, you could actually start seeing support wavering way before people are talking about it and willing to explicitly state that I'm not so happy. They're already wavering, right? So it's kind of a way that you can kind of keep a pulse on what's going on without being weird. and creepy. So this actually gives you a way to kind of dive into the results and give you kind of an idea of where the softness is without having to go raise the alarm bells.
So the buyers of this type of service would be, you've got HR, maybe Mike, you can talk about this.
Customer experience,
customers, yeah.
Managers, anybody who today is paying money to get insights from surveys.
Exactly. And in terms of a specific example, like the hospitality industry has a very high attrition rate, over 90%. And the example here is, but what Victor was referring to earlier, the not so strong yeses and the not so strong nos. It can really act as a very early warning system so that you can improve that attrition rate. Talking to a hospitality group now about that application, and it sounds like it could be a very applicable area.
Yeah, and we're also starting a project, and results not made it all the way through, but redesigning how NPS is done with using response time analytics as a core, right? So not just as a add-on on top of the current process the way it is, but also how would you redesign NPS using response time analytics? And right now I just wanted to kind of plant that seed. Results are not there yet, right? But it's you could just kind of expand your imagination and saying, wow, if I had this kind of insights, then a lot of these business processes that I run inside the company could actually be changed.
Rafal, is it web-based only, or could I do this through a mobile phone?
It's very important how user-friendly our tests are, because in our test, you always need to answer yes, no. That's it. No hard to tell, or not 10-point scales. No, just 2-point scale, binary scale, yes or no. However, the algorithms produce a continuous 100-point scale. So we are extremely granular, but for the user perspective, it's just press one button, yes, or the other button, no. That's it. So people are lowering it, and the dropout rate is dramatically lower than in regular research. And this type of research can be, of course, dedicated to consumers, to employees. However, you can use it to learn something about yourself as well. And by the way, to all of you who are listening and watching us, we sent Mark a little example, a little taste of our test that is to measure your capacity to be a party animal. So you can just scan the QR code that we sent to Mark, and then answer 10 or something questions, and then on your screen you will see your own result, and you will see what you say, and then you'll see what you feel, what you really feel. And some people say, yes, I am party animal, but then the machine says not so much. Maybe you used to be, but today you're more. See, but there's some people who say, no, I'm not. I'd rather stay home, on weekend. But the machine says, hey, we see something else. So maybe you really take a look in the mirror and do something about it. See, so of course this is on a funny note, but on a serious note, this type of equipment has been used by one of the top athletes for the last 2 years, and she's been using this. Her mental coach is using it to see her mental power prior to the game, and she's the top champion. So she always says, I am invincible. I am super heavy. I can take anything. See?
Mhm.
But then her coach sees, well, you are invincible, but maybe today you'll have a break because you said that you're not tired, but you hesitated too much.
Mm.
And by the way, it's very difficult to fake it because the machine captures your individual way of answering. And then when you try to make some funny thing, the machine says, sorry, we cannot process your data. That means that you did some funky stuff. So there are huge opportunities, not only marketing wise, but also when we're talking about self-development.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so for coaching, for personal development, there's lots of opportunities.
Mhm.
So what is that the future of RTA? Or what are we doing 5 years from now?
I think the future is that everybody will assume that they get the implicit insights and the explicit insights everywhere. The idea is that we democratize it, we make it available, everybody understands that this power exists and uses it, right?
Yeah, we want to set a new standards in the industry. We want to educate all end clients to ask their research providers, okay, so this is what people say, but do I have an access to knowledge, what they really feel?
Mhm.
Yeah, the idea is to get it out there, right?
Great. Well, guys, really appreciate you taking the time to join me. And Rafal, thanks for coming from Warsaw. And I will be sharing that code where you can party animal test yourself. I'll be providing information on how you can contact Victor, Rafal, and Mike in the transcript as well.
And Mark, the good thing is that you will not have to share the results with anyone because the people will get the results immediately on their screens. See, they just need to print screen because then they will soon disappear because we don't want to store the data.
Got it.
So just take it like a Snapchat and take it for you and enjoy it. And by the way, you can take it before weekend and after the weekend, and you check your attitude toward being a
I will
animal.
share. I'll share my results then.
Very good.
Before and after.
I'm an intense
Southern
party
California
animal.
weekend.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, guys, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Wish you all the best, and I'd love to see this come to life in the customer experience world. So thank you,
Mark. Thank you. All right.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for
Take
having
care.
us. All right.
Mark.
Bye.
Bye.